Heard you had a lot to say. Now you don't really talk too much though.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel and happy Friday the 13th. I want to remind everyone before we get started to please like this video and consider subscribing. I have a lot of fun videos planned for October and Halloween month that I don't think you guys would want to miss. I'm going to be covering a lot of horror movies, slasher movies, indie movies, and just weird movies in general. So with that being said, let's get started. Friday the 13th. Is it really the most unlucky day of the year? Well, I sat down and did a lot of research this week to figure out why people consider it to be unlucky and where the superstition came from. Allegedly, Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit on the 13th day. It's also alleged that Jesus Christ was actually crucified on Friday. Now, this is all according to the research and sources that I have found. I would strongly suggest that you look it up and you do your own research to come to your own conclusion. Based on the information that I've done for myself, it seems as though the superstition around Friday the 13th definitely stems from Christianity. But what I really wanted to get into were some of the interesting facts that I found surrounding the day. Now, something a little interesting that I came across during my research was that supposedly if your name has 13 letters in it, you are cursed with the luck of the devil. To back this theory up a little further, I wanted to talk to you guys about two of the most notorious serial killers here in America. The first serial killer that I'm going to talk about tonight is Charles Manson. Charles Manson, along with several members of his cult, broke into actress Sharon Tate's home in Los Angeles in August 1969. Sharon Tate was hanging out with several of her friends in her home, and she was 8.5 months pregnant. The Manson cult broke in and brutally murdered everybody in the home, and they wrote in blood on the wall with Sharon Tate's blood, "Pig." Charles Manson has 13 letters in his name. That backs up the theory that if you have 13 letters in your name, you're cursed with the luck of the devil, or you're evil. Second serial killer that I'm going to talk about is John Wayne Gacy. Back in the 1970s in Chicago, Illinois, Gacy was responsible for the death of 30-plus young men and teenage boys. Gacy often would dress up as a clown and call himself Pogo the Clown, and he would perform at children's birthday parties. At night, he was a serial killer. He often went by Pogo the Clown in prison, and he was actually the inspiration behind Pennywise in the Stephen King's novel It. I actually did a video on the inspiration behind It, and I'll link the video down below in the description. Now, with those two people in mind and the fact that their names have 13 letters in them, that kind of backs up the theory about 13 being an evil number, 13 being an unlucky number. But at the same time, could it have just been a coincidence? Probably so, but let's continue. Now I want to get into some of the true and eerie events that actually happened on a Friday the 13th. On September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas, Nevada, rapper Tupac was stopped at a red light in front of the Maxim Hotel. At 11:15 p.m., a drive-by shooting occurred and Tupac was shot 5 times. The only suspect for this shooting was Orlando Anderson, and he actually was never charged. Sadly, a week later, Tupac died on September 13th, 1996 in the hospital.
Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you.
Now, this is actually one of the most talked about murder cases that I have ever heard in my life. I'm only 22 years old, and I have heard about this shooting more times than I've ever heard about any murder taking place ever. It's actually super sad, and I personally feel like that on that day a really talented rapper was lost. The next case I want to get into was the story about Kitty Genovese. In the early hours of March 13th, 1964, 28-year-old bartender Kitty Genovese was driving home. When she parked her car across the street from her apartment in Queens, New York, she was brutally attacked by Winston Moseley. The messed up part about this case is that during the half-hour attack, 38 people actually witnessed the attack, and they didn't call the police, they didn't call an ambulance, and no one tried to stop. One person actually yelled out, "Hey, leave that girl alone," but didn't actually intervene. The attack took place at 3:15 in the morning. An ambulance did not get to Kitty until 4:15, and sadly she died on the way to the hospital. This case actually started what's known as the bystander effect, and I can do a whole video on this case alone. Let me know in the comments if you'd actually be interested in seeing this. I actually think that an episode of Law & Order SVU was inspired by this case, and if I can find the video for it, Now, while there's actually a lot of speculation that Friday the 13th is one of the most unlucky days of the year, the number 13 in general is the most unlucky number, a lot of people see it differently. I know for a fact that a lot of people see the number 13 as a number of luck, and a lot of people also like to counteract the unluckiness or the superstition of the number by getting it tattooed on their bodies. My older brother actually has the number tattooed on his hand, an old friend of mine has the number tattooed on his hand, and my stepdad and a lot of their acquaintances have the number 13 tattooed on them, and they see it as a way to counteract all the bad luck that comes with this number. Taylor Swift has been very open and public about the fact that 13 is her lucky number. She turned 13 on Friday the 13th. Her #1 album hit #1 after 13 weeks, and she paints the number 13 on her hand before every show. Besides that, every time she attends an award ceremony, she tries to sit in the 13th row or the 13th seat or any number correlating with the number 13. A lot of people also speculate that her obsession with the number 13 stems from the Illuminati. The Illuminati is supposedly ran by 13 bloodlines, meaning there's 13 royal families that run the Illuminati. Now, this is just speculation. This is just what things that I've come across like online, so don't come for me. But it's also suspected that in 2009 at the VMAs, when Kanye interrupted Taylor's award acceptance speech, that it was actually an act of her induction into the Illuminati. Kanye is thought to be a member of the Illuminati along with Beyonce and Jay-Z. When Kanye got on stage, who did he say had the best video of the year? Beyonce. Now it's thought that the reason why public humiliation was Taylor's introduction into the Illuminati was to see how well she could take it. She took it pretty well. Whenever she was getting interrupted by Kanye, she was wearing a white dress. Later on in the award ceremony, when Beyonce got on stage wearing a red dress, she invited Taylor up on stage with her, and Taylor was wearing a red dress. Red is supposed to be a sacred color of the Illuminati. Now let's get into what I think. Do I think that Friday the 13th is the most unlucky day of the year? No, I don't really think so. I am a big believer in you get the energy that you put out. So if you wake up on Friday the 13th thinking, oh my God, it's Friday the 13th, today's gonna be such an unlucky day, then the odds are is that you're gonna create a very unlucky day for yourself. I say this because I've never personally experienced any bad luck on Friday the 13th. Now I know that there are a lot of airlines who won't fly on the 13th. A lot of airlines don't have a 13th row in their planes. A lot of elevators skip the 13th floor. I think that it's all stemming from the original superstition of the holiday. Like for instance, every Friday the 13th, my older brother holds a Friday the 13th special at his tattoo shop. And every year on Friday the 13th, those specials have been one of the best running specials for the tattoo shop on the year. So I really think that Friday the 13th is just what you make it personally. But it's really fun to be superstitious now, isn't it? Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I have a lot of really cool videos planned for October, and I'm hoping to get better at this. I'm hoping to cover more topics. I would really appreciate some feedback in the comments. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to see differently from me. Comments what you want to see. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this video. With all that being said, happy Friday the 13th, guys, and stay spooky. Bye.
But I'm weak, and what's wrong with